today going into the locker room after the game, there were a couple guys who were pissed off and showed their frustration and spoke on their frustration and were pissed off for greatness. And, and honestly, I think that's what we need. What's up? What's up? It's week. I don't know what week it is right now, but I appreciate y'all tuning in again. It's another week of Straight Off the Press with Jalen Ramsey and Uninterrupted. Coming off a tough loss, but still gonna give y'all this show just like I promised y'all I would. I'm about to get straight into it. It's disappointing losing a game like that when you had it in control all game. You think you made a big stop at the end of the game. Offense isn't able to close it out. Defense comes back out and gives up their first touchdown of the game. It's frustrating to lose like that. And I felt like that was a game that we needed to win to jumpstart us back up a little bit. Because like this is the NFL and it is a long season, but at the same time, just because it's a long season doesn't mean we have games that we can let slip away or throw away, in essence. You know what I mean? We still have to capitalize on every opportunity we get. It's not like the NBA. We don't get 82 games. We can't go out there and essentially practice new lineups or like whatever the NBA may do. And they might lose. They might go on a losing spree and it not affect them. Like you can't do that in the NFL. So that game was definitely frustrating. And sitting here now at 3-5, we're in week 9. Like it feels like, we gotta go now. Like it has to be some tension and some urgency and some competitive nature, and like we gotta get the shit corrected and fixed right now. We do not have time we can't spare games. We don't got games to spare. We gotta go get it right now. It's like now or never. Like that's what it felt like even before going into this game, and now it definitely feel like that. It pissed us off. Like it's like the mood isn't good, which is a good thing. And people are pissed off. People pissed off on the defense, obviously, because we feel like we've been playing well enough to win some games. People are pissed off on the offense, obviously, because they feel like they've not been able to do what they know that they can do and be a high-power offense. Definitely, this one hurt. Like this one hurt just because we felt like we really had the game in control. Especially like towards the end of the game, and we still came up losing. So that's, unfortunate, pissed off. Something got to give at some point, and we gonna figure it out. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like the easy thing to do is quit, and that's definitely not what we're gonna do. We're gonna continue to fight, find a way to shake it, do whatever we got to do. If we gotta start being more competitive in practice, fighting in practice, doing like whatever we got to do, we're going to figure that shit out. Defensive wise, I feel like we had a good game plan. We practiced really tough and with a lot of urgency and like a lot of competitiveness on that defensive end this week. Like I even got into a scuffle with one of the scout team receivers, Jacob Harris, during the week. And I know like that's a sensitive topic, right? Practice fights and scuffles and stuff, right? But that's sometimes really good for you and good for the team. So me and Jacob Harris, we got into it because he was playing Mike Evans for me this week. And I knew I would be kind of following Mike Evans a decent amount of the game. And I didn't feel like at the time that he was giving me the correct looks that I needed to get. And so I kind of got on him. And he had that dog, Jacob Harris. He came right back with it. So then we got into a scuffle, and the rest of the week we practiced amazing. It was probably one of the best, and I told him this at the end of the week too. It was probably one of the best scout team performances by a receiver that I've ever like had to go against to get prepared for a game. And that's what we do though. We challenged each other, and we had to get into a little scuffle when our teammates broke it up, and then we go back to practicing and we practice hard. Like that's what gets you better. Those type of things right there. Everybody looks at our defense and they're like, man, y'all gotta win the game for us. Win the game for us. When it's like, man, we are like top 5 right now in points allowed on defense. We allow 17 points a game. If you hold an NFL team to under 20 points, you should give yourself a high chance of winning in the NFL when you have a high-power offense like our offense should be operating at. So, I don't know. I feel like in our locker room, the narrative has to change a little bit, just a little bit, because we still do believe defense wins championships, and we're still going to try to figure out ways that we can still come up with a win regardless of what the offense is doing, what special teams doing, no matter what. But at the same time, like, we talk complimentary football, all that, like, the offense and special teams has to complement the efforts we putting on out there. We didn't end up with the turnovers that we had hoped. Like physical, like, oh, we got the ball on a forced fumble or interception, right? But turnover on downs is a turnover. So we had 2 of those. AD had one, I had one at the end of the game. Like, those are big momentum plays as well. So in that essence, we did get the turnovers, but in terms of like physically getting the rock, we didn't do that part. And I feel like that's still something that we have to do to help out, our struggling offense a little bit right now and special teams. So that's something we'll continue emphasizing even more. You know what I mean? Like, and just finding a way on the defensive end. Like, we're gonna continue having that mindset on the defensive end. Is, we gonna find a way to start winning these games. But it's I ain't gonna sit here and lie to y'all. It's definitely gonna be nice when we actually start playing complementary football and the offense and the special team are able to make some of those big plays as well, and have those guys really express who they really are. That'll be good for us. Today, going into the locker room after the game, there were a couple guys who were pissed off and showed their frustration and spoke on their frustration and were pissed off for greatness. And honestly, I think that's what we need right now on this team. I think there needs to be more tension and more urgency, competitive nature, more dogs coming speaking and, just getting it right. Not just talking about it, actually putting action to it. So, like, going in the locker room today, seeing that vibe from a couple of the guys was, it was like one of those moments where it was like, damn, about time, y'all gonna say something too. Like, that's how it felt in the locker room. Personally, for me, seeing some of those guys say something, even seeing Coach say something like that, and not necessarily having like the same type of speech as he's had in other games, and that's like good stuff. That's good for a football team. Like, don't get it twisted. People might say like, oh man, that will divide the team and that'll do. Nah, no, it won't. If you got the right guys in the building, which we do, you got the right guys in the building, that ain't gonna divide the team. It should get you right. We always feel like, man, maybe there's something extra I could have done. Because we got a lot of dogs on that defense end. We got a lot of talent, a lot of dogs over there for real. So we always feel like, man, we could have did something more. Like, let's figure it out. Like, what the fuck? What's going on? We pissed off because we're not winning games right now, right? We want to win. But, I'm optimistic and I'm hopeful that, positive comes out of this. It's not just this is not going to become a theme for us. And it can't, it can't, honestly. Like, it gotta mean something to everybody in the building. Everybody gotta care about it. Like, it can't just be, oh, whatever, or we're gonna get it the next game. Like, no, you gotta feel that. You gotta feel that pain. You gotta want to win every game that you go out there. Like, it gotta mean something to you. and then you scratch it, and then you go on to the next week. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna scratch it, and I'm gonna go on to the next week. Obviously, I personally I still will be watching film and stuff tomorrow and getting over the game. But right now, I'm gonna scratch it and go to the next segment of this show. So around the league, not just this week, but definitely this week, I feel like there's been a lot of close games this year in the NFL. Like I saw the Jets and the Bills. That was a division game. That was a close game. The Jets ended up winning that game. Division games, I know people look at that and they're like, man, the Jets beat the Bills, but division games are always tougher games. For whatever reason, division games are always tougher to, you're a little bit more familiar with the other side, with your opponents, because you play them twice. So division games never surprise me, whatever way they go. So obviously I know our rivals, San Francisco, they got Christian McCaffrey, and obviously he's been making an immediate impact for them. Unfortunate for us. Calvin Ridley went to the Jaguars, even though he's not playing this year. I think that is a steal. I think that is a major move, because Calvin Ridley, when healthy, is a dog. Like when he's healthy, when he's playing, he is a dog. So they got him right now. I guess you could say on layaway till next year. I love the trade deadline personally, just because, just what was that, 4 years ago now, that I was traded from Jacksonville to out here to LA, obviously, and my situation was a little bit different. I asked for a trade, so I knew it was coming eventually. I knew I was gonna get traded at some point, and I got traded, I think, the week before the deadline had hit. And it's worked out for me since I've been a LA Ram. I've 3 Pro Bowls, 2 All Pros, Super Bowl. I think I would say it worked out in the Rams' favor, and it worked out in my favor for sure. So I'm happy that situation went on for me, but it is always tricky, you know. I mean, some guys don't want to be traded, but some teams are rebuilding. Some teams need picks. Some teams are unloading players. Some teams are going all in to win now, which is something that the Rams have done in the past. Last year, we did the same thing, going to get Von Miller at the deadline, and then eventually getting Odell Beckham and all that type of stuff. Which this year we weren't active, but maybe we still got time to go get Odell. I know he, of course, is receiving interest from everybody else, deservingly so. But I know we would still love to have him right here in LA. LA should be home for him. It is home for it is. LA home for you, Odell. And he can come right now and make Odell can come right now and make immediate impact on this team right now. So maybe we still got time for that, even though we weren't active during the trade deadline this year. It was a crazy game, the Falcons versus the Chargers. One, I want to take a minute to say I see that the Falcons honored Takeoff. Rest in peace to Takeoff. This one hit home for me personally, just because Takeoff is the same age as me. Takeoff just turned 28. And I just turned 28, 2 weeks ago. And you think, and you should, have so much more life ahead of you, and so much more great things to do, and so many people to affect, and just a lot of life to live. And to see his life tragically taken like that is truly sad. So, my condolences go out to his family and his friends. A lot of players around the league honoring him today. My pregame cleats were honored to him. I know even in basketball, LeBron's honoring him. In other sports, they're honoring him as well, and it's deservingly so. That Atlanta versus LA Chargers game was wild. Came down to a wild ending. I know I saw the clip where there was a run play, man, a defensive lineman recovered it. He started running with it. He fumbled it. The Chargers ended up getting it back on the same play. It was 2 fumbles that switched teams' hands on the same play. Chargers ended up winning on a game-winning field goal. So that was a crazy game. Then you had the Seahawks versus the Cardinals. who we play next week. And the Seahawks are on a roll right now, um, leading our division actually. But the Seahawks got to win over the Cardinals. So, going into this next week game against the Cardinals, there'll be two teams coming off L's, a division game, a must-win, I would say. Definitely for us, but probably for them as well. This will be the second game against them this year. The first time we played them, we held them to only field goals. We had a really good game on the defensive side of the ball. Offense played well as well. They were able to put some points on the board. This time though, on Sunday, next week, D-Hop is back for them, and I know his first. I don't know about today's game. I haven't been able to peep it yet, but I know his first two games he was getting targeted. 14 targets, 10 targets, like stuff like that. So happy to have him back off suspension, and he's a competitor. He's a guy who I always like, competing against, and just stepping up to that challenge. We got to prepare the right way this week. Get ready for that, and then from this point on, also, I want to have one specific theme, one question. I want to ask the question, like, what makes you more than, like, Uninterrupted's, mantra is more than an athlete, right? So, I would ask myself, like, Jalen, what makes you more than an athlete, more than what people see, right? And, my answer would probably be, my faith in my family, being a father, that makes me more than an athlete, especially I'm a girl dad. Like, I'm a father of 3 little girls who could care less about a football game, honestly. So that kind of puts things in perspective to me. That puts life in perspective for me, right? And obviously, like, my faith. Obviously, like, after today's game, I'm pissed off, but then I get a little time to relax and chill on the plane and reflect. And, I'm reading a book that I'm, called The Samson Syndrome right now. And I was just thinking in my head, and I tweeted out, like, God is greater than the highs and the lows. Like, when I'm high, God is still greater than that. And I have that tattoo, like, right here on my wrist as well. But just as a constant reminder, like, no matter how high things are, no matter how low things are, like, God is greater than all of that, and God has a plan, and He'll see His plan through. So, like, that's a good reminder for me every single day, and it's a good reminder for me after L's like this, because I take stuff to heart, and I take stuff, man, it's tough. I hate losing, so like, it's a good reminder for me. It's something I tweeted out right after, but that for me, that would be my answer. It's like my faith first and foremost, and like my family, my daughters especially, like being a girl dad, and they don't care about and I hope they never care. I genuinely do. I hope they never care about whether daddy was an all pro or a pro bowler. No, I don't really care about that. I want them to look at me in a different light. I want them, to think that I'm the best dad ever, right? And I'm pouring all of that into them, like the fact that I work hard and I focus, and I'm a supporter of people I love, and loving, caring, like all of the good morals and attributes that I have, and I'm still growing to be. I hope that they take all that from me, and I hope I can be their biggest supporter. Like I even talked about before, I was asked the question before, like, if there was ever a movie about you, like, how would you want that movie to be? How would you want to be portrayed in a movie, or how would that be? And my answer is still the same to this day, and it was the same then when I was asked the question, was instead of having like a autobiography, or biopic of myself, the movie that I would much rather have is a movie like King Richard, right? Is where, man, this man has poured all of his energy and effort into his daughters, and they're great at whatever they're doing. So, like, that's my goal, right? And that's so to answer the question of, Jalen, what makes you more than an athlete? That's your answer right there. So anyway, I appreciate y'all tuning in again to the show. It's always tough after L, but I appreciate y'all always tuning in. I'm still glad I'm able to, give y'all these post-game reactions while I'm in the Sprinter on the way home. Next week, be ready to tune in again after the Cardinals game. Hopefully after a W, and after a big game.